One thing I learned from Peter one time: never deny. Tempted to catch amnesia sometimes. Never deny. Even when my faith will come a cry, I'll never deny. When I confess, I put my neck on the line. I'll never deny.
Welcome to Truth Prevails. Today's episode is a conversation I had with a Jehovah Witness, where he is kind of explaining his doctrine, where they believe that there's going to be people that's going to have a second chance, basically, to come to God. And I don't think this is a doctrine that the Bible really teaches. But I have this conversation, and I have another great conversation I had with this witness that was basically pulling scriptures out of context. And I think this is a scripture that Jehovah Witnesses use to gain converts, where they say, you know, did you have a family member that died? Would you want to see them again? They try to bait that, and they try to use that to say, you know, come join the organization. And I seen it, you know, I seen it taught. So we see in this conversation, Romans 1:18 is talking about everyone. Everyone is unrighteous unless you put your faith in Jesus Christ. There's not going to be one class or one group of people that it's unrighteous, righteous, and just the ignorant. That's not biblical. That's not it. We all fall short. Every single person falls short. It doesn't matter if you have a Bible. It doesn't matter if you had the chance to read the Bible. Your conscience tells you, God has put a conscience in you that you know right and wrong, and you know there's a creator. And it's on you to want to worship that creator. Atheists know that there's a God. They just don't want to say there's a God or admit there's a God, because then they're going to be held accountable to God. But they know God's real. Even though some will die denying it. And Jehovah Witnesses do this a lot, where they try to use certain passages and say, hey, it was just talking to these people, and not using it for the whole Bible, when the Bible tells us all scripture is used, you know, to reprove, teach. So, but there's certain passages like Revelation where they say, okay, this here applies to this. So they pick and choose when it goes against. And, you know, it's all coming from the wide side, where it's coming from Satan. Satan is the leader of this organization. So if, you know, you are a witness, this is something you really need to look at and say, okay, is this really biblical? What scriptures that, in context, as you read the whole chapter, are talking about this? So just leave a comment, leave your feedback, and tell me what you think.
Do you think there's going to be people that didn't know about God?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, when you go back to the American Indians, how many of them were here? How could they know about God? I mean, the truth about God. They couldn't. Because they hadn't interacted with Europeans. I mean, how many people lived before Jesus was born and never got the complete picture? Keep in mind, out during the Middle Ages, the religion suppressed the Bible. They killed people who wanted to translate it, and who did that work. And they had their own beliefs, and that's which were designed to keep people, designed the Dark Ages to keep people under control. Yeah. And that's what they did.
Well, what about when Paul said in Romans 1 and 2 that no one is going to have an excuse because you have creation and God has written it on your heart. So correct. Even if someone hasn't heard it, we inherently know right from wrong, and we know that there's a creator because you walk outside and see creation.
Right. If you go to Romans 1:20, that's what you're referring to there. It says in verse 18. For God's wrath, it says here, is being revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who are suppressing the truth. Is that what you have, something similar to that? Suppressing the truth in an unrighteous way. So these aren't people who are wandering around. These are people who, in order to suppress the truth, you have to know it. All right? So they're suppressing it. They're working against God, because what may be known from God is clearly evident among them, but God made it clear to them, his invisible qualities. So they knew about God, but what did they do? They suppressed it.
But that's like someone saying I'm an atheist. There's no God.
Okay, but,
That's right.
okay, but
Because it's just what 20 says, for his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, has been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world, the things that have been made, so they are out without excuse. So if someone's living in sin, ungodliness, that's unrighteous, and they don't want to come to God, that's how it is to suppressing the truth. They're saying, well, no, I want to live the way I live. There's no God.
All right, but they're just refusing to learn about it, though. To suppress something means to keep it.
So everyone deep down knows there's a God.
They should, but do they actually accept it? No. Some people have lived through war. If you look at like people who are starving, people who have lived through all the civil unrest and wars that are going on today, you know, the Middle East, it's like a way of life over there for many people. And for them to believe in a God that cares about them, you know, sincere people. See, if we
don't they still have to walk outside and say, how did I get here?
Well,
why am I here?
You would think.
That's a choice. Now you have the choice to go, okay, let me do whatever I need to do, or I can keep living the way I'm living, because you don't have to tell a baby how to lie. You all know right from wrong. So even if you don't have the Bible, you know what you're doing is wrong.
I completely agree. You know, and why people are like that, why they don't ask those questions, or why they don't pursue them, I don't know. But I can tell you, if we read this here, finish it through though.
Yeah.
For his invisible qualities are clearly seen from the world's creation onward, okay, because they are perceived by the things made, even his eternal power and Godship, so that they are inexcusable. So it's inexcusable not to give credit to God, is what it's saying. But not then it goes on now, talking about these people again. For although they knew God, they did not, so they knew God, right? But they did not glorify him as God, nor did they thank him. But they became empty-headed in their reasonings, and their senseless hearts became darkened.
Yeah.
Although claiming they were wise, they became foolish and turned the glory of the incorruptible God. So he's talking about a group of people here. If you read what he's talking about, it's talking about people who lived at that time in the Roman era, and you just read the whole chapter. Yeah.
That's everyone that's not following him.
But it's they're more than not following him. No, there's a difference between, like, if I live in a country and I don't participate in a revolution, that doesn't mean that there's a difference between me not participating and me actually going out and shooting and killing people.
Yeah,
you see, and so many people. I'm not. It sounds like I'm defending them, which I'm not trying to do it, because I don't understand it either, as you don't, and Terrence doesn't. But that's just how people. God God reads hearts, and he knows what people are like, and he knows what they could be like, and he wants to give everyone a chance. And some people knew God, but they turned away from it. Some people don't know God at all. Many people, it's true that maybe they did see the creation and they don't know how it got here, but on their own, then all they're going to come up with is a creator. Yeah. And they don't know anything about it. They don't know anything about his purpose. They don't know anything. They have to be taught that.
Yeah. So if they don't go tell them, just like Romans 3 says, there's no one that's righteous. That person still will be unrighteous in God's eyes until he comes to him. So everyone's unrighteous unless you're following him.
Yeah. Right. Even people who are following him, though, are unrighteous too. I mean, in a way.
Well, not in his standing. He looked at you as righteous, so you wouldn't be unrighteous in his eyes. You'll be righteous.
Okay, yeah.
So everyone that's not following is unrighteous.
And, right. Okay, yeah, yeah. So, but do you think, though, Ryan? Do you think that God would do that to people, and that God would just, when it says unrighteous, that he would just look at someone and not give them a chance to be educated and on an even playing field?
This is something that Jehovah's Witnesses do a lot, which is really, really bad when it comes to God, it comes to religion. They try to put their self in the place of God, and they bring God down to their thinking, where it's God can't do this because I wouldn't do this. But when I read the Bible, we're not supposed to do that. God is God. It's his character. This is what he does. I take that and I change my life towards that. And this is why they don't believe in hell. Because it was their founder didn't believe in hell and he ran with it. Because he didn't want to send people to hell. But, you know, God's ways are above our ways, our thinking. So you can't bring God down. Because then you serve a limited God and they believe they know everything about God.
Because if you're taught something, your mother tells you something, your father tells you something when you're little, and you see the complete opposite out there, are you going to believe it? Maybe not. Mm-hmm. So if you taught that there's a loving God and that I grew up as a Catholic, that's what I grew up as. And that was just a kid. I didn't know anything. I went to what my parents taught me and my mother taught me, and that's what I did. But I didn't know anything about God's purposes or anything like that. I had no clue. You know, and I was taught that people, at that time they didn't really highlight that too much, but it was, you know, people went to hell for doing all those for bad things. But every time you went to a funeral, my experience was nobody ever went to hell. I never heard that at a funeral. I was wondered about that. But see, but does that make sense though? Because if you aren't taught, and by taught doesn't necessarily mean me telling you, because that's not really like, you'll forget most of what we have said today probably, eventually. Like if you never see us again in 10 years from now, are you going to remember any of this? No. So you have to, God believes in giving people a chance.
Yeah.
And he wants people to on this level playing field, be able to be resurrected and see, it says also, this is the last verse in the chapter. You should probably read, do that, Ryan. It says here, although these know full well the righteous decrees of God. So these are people who know God, all right, that those practicing such things are deserving of death, all these practices here. So they know it's wrong. It's not that, it's true you have a conscience, excuse me, and you might know that stealing is bad, but if you see everyone around you stealing, and that's the way you're taught that's the way you can live, and then once you steal, there's all kinds of justifications for stealing, and after a while, it's going to be okay in your head.
You don't think your conscience still could...
Not after a while.
Putting food on the kids on the table for my kids.
If you go to a prison, say, imagine a prison where everyone is guilty. I don't believe there's such a prison, but say that they all are, okay? And you go through that door, all of those people, you've probably never done this, but all of those people think that they're good people, and they've excused what they've done. And so that's what he's talking about. All these know full well the righteous degree of God, that those practicing such things are deserving of death. So they know it, but they not only keep on doing them, but also approve of those practicing them. So it gets back to those in the beginning, those that are suppressing the truth. All right, that they're going the opposite way. You know, the Bible talks about those sinning against the Holy Spirit. Have you ever? Yeah, that's what they're doing basically. You know, they've known the truth. Now they've gone the complete opposite way. And that's what that's who Paul is writing to right here, to these in that those paragraphs. That's what he's.
So are you saying that?
Oh, he's writing about them, not to them. He's writing about them.
Someone cannot know about God and be resurrected and be saved.
Correct. Yeah.
So, do you think? So that would mean
it depends on what they do in the new system, or after they get resurrected. Well, after they get resurrected to life, they have to conform. You know, they have to. There's not going to be a choice after they get resurrected, because after they get resurrected, someone who has it in their mind they're going to do something bad is not going to be allowed to live anymore. That's the second death, the Gehenna that Jesus was talking about. So,
do they gonna have another chance? I think you might. They're gonna have another chance to live.
To live, yes, on an even playing field where everything's perfect. Satan will be gone. All the temptations to do wrong will be gone. I mean, God could just read everyone's heart and just kill everyone who's He could do it, but he doesn't do that. I don't. I can't speak for God. I don't know why, and maybe it's entertainment. I don't know.
Now, is that when you resurrected? Is that before judgment or after judgment?
That's judgment. When during the resurrection, that talks about it being 1,000 years long. People are going to be judged during that period based on an even playing field.
Now, would you have immortal bodies?
Pardon me?
Would you have immortal bodies, or would you still be in your body? Like,
well,
a body, yeah. I mean, you'll
be flesh and blood.
Yeah, your old body is. So think about what God's purpose for the earth was: to fill the earth, subdue it, have in subjection the animals, and all that. I mean, we haven't done that. We've made it complete. We filled the earth, but that's not what God meant. Not the way we filled it. So His original purpose will come to be, and which would be the earth filled with people. And the earth being a paradise.
Now, would you still have that sinful nature, or no?
No, not anymore, because you gradually grow to perfection. So when you first get resurrected, you're gonna people are gonna have to be taught. So I mean, I don't know exactly how that's gonna work, but it's like a gradual growth back to perfection. How long? I have no idea. I don't know anything about that. The Bible doesn't tell us that.
Yeah.
But it talks about those who are resurrected to a life, and those resurrected to judgment. So if you lived your life and you were a horrible person and you were resurrected, because the Bible doesn't say everybody is going to get resurrected, but probably the vast majority will. Those are the ones who are in Hades or hell, as it's translated in the Hebrew scriptures. Those people will have that opportunity now to learn about God, and if they choose not to, well, then that's going to be history. There'll be history.
So do you believe that Jesus can sin right now?
No, he can't. Oh, can he?
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose he could, but he doesn't. I don't believe he ever will. Because
because the Bible says we're going to receive a glorified body like His glorified body. Now, if that's during that reign, if He can't sin, we wouldn't be able to sin.
Well, okay, that's. But think about His glorified body now is what? Where is it?
Glorified. He's with God. Yeah.
Yeah, in heaven.
So what kind of body does He have?
He has a glorified body.
Spirit. Yeah. He's not flesh and blood.
He has a body.
Why he can't live and outside of this environment with the body that we have. So he has to be a spirit creature.
He did so.
So whatever his form is something that he has there, not here. It's something different from what we are.
So why does Paul say he has a body?
Well, the Bible's for us. So he has a body. It's just not flesh and blood like we are. I don't know what can live in the spirit realm. I haven't been there. So I don't know, but I just know that we're made for the earth. We were created in God's image. But the body that we have is made for the planet we're on.
Jesus was originally a spirit creature. That's how he was created.
Yep.
That's how he lived 99.99% of his life or whatever. And he's been up with God for billions of, who knows, but countless years.
So the Bible talks about wicked angels coming to the earth and materializing into human form.
Yeah.
So obviously the form they had wasn't the form that we'd want to actually talk to them. And so
no, I haven't really researched this topic that much. I'm gonna do some research and then maybe we'll talk about it next time you come.
And next time, Brian, when you do that, because I know that we were going to talk about the Holy Spirit.
One thing I learned from Peter one time: never deny. Tempted to catch amnesia sometimes. Never deny. Even when my faith become a crime. I never deny. When I confess, I put my neck on the line. I never deny.